and this is what I told my coach afterwards. I got into the place where I thought I was like Superman. You know what I'm saying? Like my mentality was, if I can get into the cage, I'm gonna win.
Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. May 13th, man. Charlotte, South Carolina.
Let's go. North Carolina.
Is it North Carolina?
North Carolina.
Okay. Why do I think South?
Yeah. They were talking about it being in South Carolina, but the Queen City, baby, that's Charlotte, baby. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
man, I think you're the people's main event, man, for this card.
I gotta be.
Yeah.
I gotta be. You know what I'm saying? There's like because when I first signed the contract, the location was still TBA, and I was looking at the headliner and the co-headliner, and I was like, oh, this could be anywhere. Like my first thought was it was going to be at the Apex in Vegas, but then I heard rumors that it was going to be in the South, like Tennessee or somewhere in South Carolina, and I would have been cool with either one of those. But then it was fun. I was driving, one of my teammates, they were like, "Oh, you're fighting in Charlotte?" And I was like, no, I mean, they got rumors they'll be here. And he was like, no, 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 no. And he turned his phone over and it was the UFC's Instagram post. And I was just like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I was like, unbelievable. So no, Charlotte, North Carolina, the Queen City.
Yeah, man, it's very fortunate timing too. I mean, you being from that area and them coming to that city. Not many fighters get that opportunity, to be honest with you. Like they fight their whole career without being able to fight at home. So it's great for you, man. I'm very happy for you, man. I'm pretty sure the Bryan Battle fan section. How crazy are those chants gonna be?
I'm telling you, the last time I fought in Charlotte was 5 years ago, and now, granted, it was a much smaller venue, but the energy it was crazy. You know what I'm saying? And the guy I fought was also really good. You know what I'm saying? He brought his people in, and the tension, you could cut it. You know what I'm saying? One half was just chanting, "Let's go!" Like, at the time, I was Pooh Bear, so they're like, "Let's go, Pooh Bear!" And then the other side was chanting for the other guy. So it was incredible. And then now it's just like at the level that we're at now, there's people, that I don't know. You know what I'm saying? People who are just from the city who are just looking for a representative that are gonna be there, and they're excited to watch me fight and watch me show out for the city. So it's gonna be you can already feel the magic festering, you know what I'm saying? Just getting greater and greater. So it's really just going to be the energy is going to be crazy. It's going to be magical, like you said. I'm not the main event. I have no idea where I'm going to be at on the card, but it's definitely a fight you are not going to want to miss, no matter where I'm at on that thing.
For sure, man. For sure, it's a crazy matchup. They better start filing the key, to the city after this fight. You know what I mean? So
Come on, man. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Especially after I go out there and put on the best performance of my career. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, no, it really is. Because people they're like, is it a lot of pressure fighting in front of your home crowd? And I'm kind of on the opposite end of viewing it being like pressure. I'm kind of approaching it like you're approaching it. Like this has always been a dream of mine. But realistically, UFC is a global brand. You know what I'm saying? Like they're fighting, one day on one side of the country, and another country, another continent. You know what I'm saying? And so, for the stars to just align like they have, and to have this opportunity, no, it's really just a blessing. I can't wait. You know what I'm saying? It's pushed me to a whole nother level. Another level. You always think you can't go any higher, but then something happens that just pushes you a little bit higher. So no, I'm ecstatic.
For sure. And your dance partner, man, he's a good one. Gabe Green. Your thoughts on him and the fighting style?
Um, what I think about him is that he is the kind of opponent that is gonna really let me display my skill set. You know what I'm saying? He's a tough dude, durable dude. You know what I'm saying? He's constantly getting better. Each fight you can see at at a minimum small improvements, in some fights more than small improvements. And coming off a loss, I anticipate he's going to be hungry to get that back. I know he's training hard, he's getting better. Um, but I just feel like he just doesn't have what it takes to take me out. You know what I'm saying? Like if being tough and being durable is what he hangs his hat on, you know, no one's tough and durable enough. You know what I'm saying? You gotta bring something to scare me. You know what I'm saying? Being tough ain't isn't scary. I see tough guys all the time. You know what I'm saying? So uh, I'm really looking forward to this fight. I'm looking forward to the challenge that he brings, and like I said, I'm clicking on all cylinders. I'm feeling fast. I'm feeling strong. Fight IQ is constantly growing. So just to break him down. You know what I'm saying? To really go out there and be able to use all my tools. You know what I'm saying? Show off a little bit. I haven't really had an extended fight where I got to, showcase what I can do since Trey Sean, and that was a year ago. The improvements I've made in that time have just been, staggering. So, Gabe, great opponent, tough guy, but I'm definitely, coming in ready to go for 15 minutes and looking to make this a showcase. You know what I'm saying?
Is there a different mentality when you face an opponent that has never been faced, that is known to be tough, versus a fighter that has been finished a bunch of times?
Um, yes and no. Yes and no. Because there's like levels to never being finished. You know what I'm saying? Like there's someone like John Jones. He's never been finished, but the first thing when people talk about him, his durability isn't the first thing they talk about. Even though it's a very important attribute he has, they talk about his wrestling, his creative striking, his range control. Literally, I've done a couple interviews. Literally every interview I've done, the first thing anyone says when they talk about Gabe Green, they're like, he's a tough, durable dude. And I can, coming from a place where people used to say that about me all the time, that is like the last thing you want to hear as a fighter. You know what I'm saying? That means that you have taken some ass whoopings. You know what I'm saying? That means in order to be established as a tough, durable fighter, that means you had to have displayed toughness. And then on top of that, for that to be the first thing that people say, that means that like that is your standout quality. That there's nothing that when people think about you, they think about the time you endured that ass whooping and maybe pulled out a winner. You know what I'm saying? Uh, so in his case, it's a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? In his case, uh, with other people who haven't been finished, it's like you're not thinking about even Gabe, you know what I'm saying? It's not about being the first person to finish him. It's just about taking advantage of whatever opportunity presents itself. Um, but it is a little bit more when someone has based their whole career up to the point where you fight off of being tough and durable, it is a little bit enticing to test out that durability, test out that toughness, just see how tough they are, just see how durable they are, because everyone has a breaking point. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how good you are, how long you've been training, everyone's got a breaking point. So there is part of me that's kind of curious to just, test them and see where that breaking point is. You know what I mean?
What'd you think of the fight against Ian Gary?
He never really got going in that fight. And obviously Ian's a tough guy. Ian's long, you know what I'm saying? He fought long. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ian landed some good shots on him, but Ian wasn't really trying to engage like that. He fought a very smart fight, especially with the way that Gabe fights. I do think Gabe started coming on stronger, you know what I'm saying, after he got a little bit of Ian's timing and rhythm. There was moments where he had good moments where he was pushing that pace, but overall, there was a lot of there was a lot of wasted strikes. You know what I'm saying? The range really wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? The distance management, um, and he left. The tough thing about that fight is he left a lot of openings and Ian just exploited those openings. So on one hand, you could watch that fight and you can see a lot of things to take advantage of. But with that being said, I mean, he's a smart, competent fighter competent fighter who's gotten to the UFC, who's gotten better in between each fight. So I'm really expecting, Gabe Green 2.0. I don't think the same guy who fought Ian Gary is going to be in there. I think he's going to learn from a lot of those mistakes. You know what I'm saying? So that was a great, especially for someone like me who has a similar body type to Ian Gary. Great footage, great 15 minutes of film to break down, but I'm not gonna invest too much into it, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I'm still different than Ian Gay, you know what I'm saying? I'm more dangerous than Ian Gay. You can tell him I said that if you ever talk to him, you know what I'm
Future
saying?
matchup, right? Future matchup.
Hey, listen, man.
Yeah,
If I do go out there and stop him, you know what I'm saying? Ian Gary and D Rod, they both fought him. They couldn't
yeah,
stop him. You know what I'm saying? We're not doing MMA math around here. Never ever do MMA
yeah,
math. But I'm just saying, if you did,
yeah, yeah.
you know what I'm
Uh,
saying?
your last fight, man, you took that on like super short notice. I heard that you had an injury heading into the fight, as well as being hospitalized like days before the fight. How did you feel like once you got into the ring or into the cage and started to engage Renat? Like, were you drained already? Like, when you were throwing punches and strikes, did you feel labored? How did you feel?
Um, I wouldn't even. I definitely went into that fight lighter. I would say the biggest thing going into that fight, especially when things started happening, was I just had such tunnel vision. I really limited myself. I was like, okay, if I'm going to win the fight, this has to happen, this has to happen, this has to happen. Um, and you can't, especially at this level, you can't force things. You know what I'm saying? Especially against someone like Renat, you can't force things. So, going back and watching that tape, it was, on one hand, it was, you know, it made me feel, even though it's weird to say, because he controlled the whole fight, won clearly. I did feel better after watching the tape because there were um, a lot of things to learn from. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things to learn from, a lot of opportunities that I missed. And after the fight, I just realized, like, no matter what the circumstances are going into the fight, you just can't limit yourself. You really have to be conscious of what you are capable of in the situation. But all those things, even if everything was perfect, someone like Renat would have been an absolute handful. You know what I'm saying? He's an absolute monster, compromised or uncompromised. So I think I got into my head a little bit too much going into that fight. And you can't be in your own head when you're fighting a killer like that. You know what I'm saying? He just went in there and took care of business. You know what I'm saying? All love and respect to Renat. You know what I'm saying? I want to get this W against Gabe, and eventually I need it. I got to get that fight back. I got to get that fight with Renat back. You know what I'm saying? My wife's getting mad at me because I stay up at night thinking about revenge. You know what I'm saying? I got to get that fight back with Renat. But no, it was definitely, it was funny because it was just like everything was weird about, like, even when we were in the back, like, normally, even when I was on Tough, Tate would be my hand wrap cut guy, and he was just off that weekend. You know what I'm saying? Every fight from the Tough finale, I had been in one area in the locker room. Now I was in a different area in the locker room. So things that don't really matter. You know what I'm saying? But it was just like, in the large scheme of things, it was just like everything was just like a little off. Uh, and it just, once again, there was like just extra obstacles, and a champion pushes through those things. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's like I don't want to get caught up boo-hooing, because one day I want to be a champion. So the biggest lesson is, one, you have to be honest with yourself before the fight. If you are too compromised against someone like Renat, you have to be honest with yourself. But then also, on top of that, compromise or not compromise, you have to be looking for every single opportunity to win, not just a very limited options to win. I have to be looking at every single opportunity to win. Not, and then just getting better at different skills. Like, I could have sprawled I didn't sprawl because I just got too comfortable off my back and getting up off the ground. My initial sprawl wasn't anywhere near where it needed to be against someone like Renat. So, um, yeah, no, it was very frustrating. But the fighter I am now, as a result of that fight, in the large scheme of things, I think it'll be okay. I think, I don't think I'm going to lose for a long time, just because of what happened against Renat. You know what I'm saying?
Some fighters tell me that when you get on these winning streaks, you sometimes start to overlook certain areas of preparation or just in certain aspects of training or whatnot, I mean, even outside of it mentally as well. Did any of that come into factor, you think, in that last fight?
Yeah, and this is what I told my coach afterwards. I got into the place where I thought I was like Superman. You know what I'm saying? Like my mentality was, if I can get into the cage, I'm gonna win. Like I'll find a way. Like it doesn't matter if I'm losing for 10 minutes. It doesn't matter if I'm losing for 13 minutes. I'm gonna find a way to win the fight. And that works up to a certain level. You know what I'm saying? Um, but we're in the UFC going against the highest caliber of fighters from around the world. So you know, trained killers. So one, yeah, it's like it is just a reminder. It's humbling. It forces you to change some things, to switch some things up, to knock off the complacency. Um, and also, I'd probably say the good thing about it is it makes you evaluate what you're doing right now and what's good, and maybe kind of like you said, do I need to you know invest more in this area of training? Do I need to do more cage work? Do I need to do more um you know work on my sprawls and whatnot, and that simple stuff, because that's the you know I will say where I the biggest thing I slept on Renat is that he was not like a super technical, as he might be, but when you watch the tape, he's not shooting for a double, then switching to a single, then reaping the leg, and then running to the back. He's hitting you with a double leg. You know what I'm saying? He's hitting you with a single leg, and I'm watching the tape. I'm like, oh, that's a double leg. That's a single leg. I I learned how to defend that day one. The difference is his double leg isn't like everyone else's double leg. You know what I'm saying? His single leg isn't like everyone else's single leg. So yeah, there's definitely things you take for granted, and it's like, okay, if someone can, because like the fight that he had before me, he did essentially the same thing to the other guy, and you know, if I can give any advice, if there's any other younger fighters watching this fight, if you see someone and they're doing something very simple, and you're like, oh, that's easy, that's simple, but it's working on someone who's already in the UFC, then that just means that they're really, really, really good at that simple thing. And you need to take it very seriously. That is one of the bigger takeaways. It's like, okay, is it just a double leg? Is it just a single leg? Yeah, but is he hitting it at an extremely high level? Absolutely. So, yeah, yeah. Long answer to a short question. Yeah,
Carolina Combat Sports, man, and you're deeply
good
involved
stuff.
with them, and that's your team. And who's
Mhm.
been grinding with you for this fight?
Well, really specifically, sorry, here Miles out there. He wants to hang out with his daddy a little bit. It's bedtime for him, so he always gets a little fussy when it's time to go to bed. But at CCS, and probably, and this is going back to that last question. Another one of the big takeaways was, once again, at a regional level and even at a lower tier UFC level, if you don't have a perfect look in the gym, you can usually just get someone to just, even if they aren't a superstar wrestler, be like, yo, listen, I need you to just give me this look. This is what this guy does. Um, and it's like, once you get to a certain level, it's like, if you don't have that specific look in your gym, if you don't have a superstar wrestler, a superstar kickboxer, a superstar Muay Thai guy, and you're going against someone and that's their strength, you either need to outsource and bring someone in, or you need to go somewhere where you can get that look. Not necessarily change gyms, but go get that look so that you're prepared for that guy. You know what I'm saying? Not having someone do their best impersonation. No, you need to get that actual look. All that being said, I'm very fortunate that at my gym I do have um, some high level guys that can give me the perfect look for Gabe Green. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about height, we're talking about reach. We're talking about, speed, all those things that he brings to the table. Um, I have teammates who can give me the perfect look and help me prepare. So that when I'm in there with Gabe, it feels very familiar. You know what I'm saying? That's what you want. You want it to feel very familiar, and to have as few surprises as possible in there. So, the biggest teammate I have who's giving me the most work is Jonathan Martin. He's the Aries FC lightweight champion. Um, really, really good. Like he's somebody. He was already done with his amateur career when I started training. Like he skill wise, like he's up here. You know what I'm saying? I'm still trying to get to where he is skill wise. And he's probably one fight away from getting a shot on contender series or something like that. So he's a great person to have in the gym to work with. On top of that, just other people, my brother Upright. We got a young guy, Ali, who's just getting started. Jeremy Holloway, he's literally just joining the gym. He's giving me some good work. So between those guys, a little bit of work with people outside, you know what I'm saying? A little bit of looks from people here and there, but mainly those guys. Those are the guys who are really pushing me. Mainly Jonathan is like me and Jonathan, we're doing drills together, you know what I'm saying? He's picking up the bulk of the sparring work, you know what I mean? So and he's doing really good. He's giving me a really good look. So you can expect to see him in the corner. So I'm gonna have a little bit of different corner this time. It's gonna be my big bro Keith Richardson, who's been in my corner. He is literally doing a bare knuckle event in Greenville, South Carolina, the night before. So he's got his own thing going on right now. And so, and then my dad won't be cornering me this time. He will be in the crowd watching. He won't be cornering me. So I got two of my brothers from CCS. You know what I'm saying? Two of my brothers alongside my head coach Tom Ziegler in the corner. So um, it's gonna be very special. I can't wait.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be a beneficial experience for them as well, just to be in that corner, just to be in that environment, to kind of get that feeling. What are you
Yeah.
envisioning, man, for this fight?
Um, One thing I can say is, it's going to be entertaining no matter how it goes. I mean, there's always like so many 'cause fighting is so crazy. On one hand, I can absolutely see a 15-minute war. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about more intense than any of the fights that he's been in up to this point. Because I want to press him, I want to push him, I want to test him. See what's up. Um, but with that being said, there are openings. You know what I'm saying? There's openings, and if he hasn't closed up some of those holes, then the fingers crossed. You know what I'm saying? I can capitalize on one of those early on. You know what I'm saying? Like a 15-minute war would be great. I'd love to give the people their money's worth, but if I can give them their money's worth in a spectacular early knockout, then that is what we want to do. So I see that there. Um, it if the fight goes deep into the first round and into the second round and so on, there's no way to me he doesn't start shooting. I mean, based off, you know, watching the last fight, if he's watching my fight with Renat, and then, watching the fight before that with Takashi, game plan wise, standing with me isn't always the best thing. Everyone I fought, except for Takashi, has shot, and Takashi just didn't get the chance to shoot. You know what I'm saying? So, um, I'm looking to get out there and really put the pressure on him on the feet. You know what I'm saying? If I can get a panic shot, that'd be sensational. If not, if we just test out to see how durable he is, what his cardio is like, then we're going to do that. You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely going to be a very high octane fight, a very fast paced fight, and those are the fights I really thrive in. So it's going to be a good time.
There you go, man. May 13th, UFC Fight Night, Charlotte. Make sure to go follow Bryan on social media. Bryan, thank you so much, man, for the time. All the best.
Hey, thanks for having me. Hey, if you see Frank, tell him I said what's up.
All right. All right. Oh, okay. All right.